off for having me. It's always such a pleasure to talk to people who are inspired, and also this topic, right? The leadership and logistics. It's really nice to be invited to this. Yeah, introducing myself. So I'm Marie. I'm a co-founder of Upchained. Upchained is a consulting company, so we help other companies in digitizing their supply chain. So that's a bit short background about myself. I've always worked in consulting, and last year, together with Sylvie Waters, I founded Upchained.
Wow. Okay. So that's a very, very awesome thing that you are actually owning a company, which is a supply chain company. And Marie, you are extremely young and you have graduated from one of the best universities in Belgium, which is AMS. So when you
Right.
went to AMS and you were studying, what made you choose supply chain and transformation?
Well, I think why I chose supply chain was I studied applied economics before I did my master in the Antwerp Management School. And it was during one course on transportation management, actually, that I made the click, because previously, yeah, I was doing my master in strategy and organization, so it was quite vague and very broad.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And yeah, there was this one course then on transportation management, and there it really clicked for me, because it was such a hands-on subject, and you could really relate to it, because you see the trucks on the road, you see the trains, you see the boats with the containers, and somehow for me it clicked, and I was like, this is super interesting, I want to know more about it. And then I just went to research, like, okay, what can I do with this? Like, do I just want to go into transportation? Because at the University of Antwerp you also have an extra master in maritime logistics, but that was very, like, really narrowed down
Specific,
to
yeah.
maritime. So then I thought, maybe that's a bit too specific.
Yeah.
So then I found the global supply chain management master at AMS. So I applied.
Perfect. That does sound interesting. And I think we are almost similar. So I am doing masters in global logistics and port management from KU Leuven.
Hmm.
And I had the same idea. I was like, okay, they're saying global logistics, so they should cover all the modes of transport. They should even cover the larger base of logistics rather than being very specific about transportation or, say,
Hmm.
procurement or other sectors.
Yes. Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
for me, I'm still studying. So, what do
Hmm.
you think is going to be my most surprising? Oh my God, this is not something I expected, or this is not what school taught me moment.
Well, for me, it
Yeah.
was. I have thought about that question for a while, because yeah, I've been working now for 6 years.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking about my first experiences, right? Like, what was, when I came from school, what was for me the biggest wow moment? Like, and for me, it was the impact or the importance of change management. Because yeah, you do a project, and in school they don't really touch this subject. I mean, not in my time, at least 6 years ago, they don't talk about change management. They just talk about how supply chain works, how everything is related, how technology works, how, yeah, you have your different processes, you have your different structures, you have your different entities, and how everything is linked. But the whole human part of it is not really part of, at least for me, it wasn't part of my education. And then you start doing a project, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you need to think about, oh, I'm doing this with people. And
Yeah.
you need to think about, like, how am I going to involve these people? I did a very big project in my, I think it was the second year that I was working.
Mhm.
I did a very big project in logistics, where we did a WMS upgrade for 3 warehouses and in parallel. So it was very big, and I was doing all the things, like system configuration, thinking out the processes, and all that, those kind of things. I didn't know how to do change management. So, I learned on the go, because yeah, you get
Yeah.
resistance from people. You get people that
Mhm.
say, I don't know why you're doing this. Please don't bother me with all your questions. Please don't bother me with all your testing scenarios and so on. And then you kind of learn on the job what change management is and what you need to do. But for me, that was the biggest, not like wow moment, but more like aha moment, like
Yeah.
this is so important and you need to think
Yeah.
about it. And I think
Mhm.
they at least from my perspective, they need to emphasize it more in like the all the education that's given, all the
True.
programs.
Wow. Okay, that does sound interesting. And I think you're helping me understand and pre-prepare what I can expect in the future. So I think, and to be honest, I never thought about change management. My brain was like, okay, they might ask me to learn some particular software or some particular technical skills, but this is not something I had in my head when I asked you that question. So thank you for letting me know.
Hmm.
And the first thing that I heard, at least when I entered took this specialization, was, are you sure you want to do it? It's a male dominated sector. So I'm convinced you heard that too. So how has 6 years of experience been about that?
Well, for me, actually, in the beginning,
Mhm. Yeah.
it didn't really hit me like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I started working in supply chain, and in the company I started, we had males, we had females, so it
Mhm.
wasn't really very male dominated.
Yeah.
It was only along the way in my career that more and more I went to events, I went to fairs, I did like all those kind of things, and then you indeed see that more and more you get in contact with like also C-level people who are mostly male in supply chain. There is a shift ongoing. I'm not going to say it's like 80% male anymore, but still there is a lot of masculinity in the sector, but it never really was a problem for me because I always approached it in the way of, yeah, I'm just gonna ask questions. I'm just gonna be prepared. I'm just gonna offer my perspective on things. I'm gonna try to connect the dots. I'm gonna be curious. I'm gonna be committed. I always try to be proactive. I think that's also the thing you learn to be as a consultant. Try to be proactive with your clients, and then from that you get the confidence that you need in order to proceed with your projects and to go forward. And for me, I never got the bounce back
Uh-huh.
of being in a male environment and not being respected as a woman or something like that.
Oh,
I've never occurred this, and yeah, when I founded Upchained, indeed it was only then that it occurred to me because a lot of people were saying, you and Sylvie, wow, two women in
yeah.
logistics and in supply chain, and it's so
Uh-huh.
crazy. And I was like, is this crazy?
It
Like,
is. I didn't
how?
know that was so uncommon. But I
Yeah,
think that's such a big, I think it's such a blessing for you then if you never actually had to experience that. Because, so I have interviewed quite a few people now, and to be honest, they had some real bad experiences. And touch wood, I'm so happy for you. You didn't have to actually face a lot, and it's a good thing.
definitely. Yeah, I'm very happy
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think not realizing that it was so male dominated and you smoothly transitioned actually is a good thing, because had it hit you, I think it would have filled you with some imposter syndrome or some self-doubt and stuff like that. So it's
Exactly. And definitely when you're young in your career, I mean, the
yeah,
most important thing is that you can grow in an environment that it's
true.
that is supporting you and that is
Mhm.
this really cheering you on. And I really got the luck that my first project where I was for
Mhm.
2 years was exactly that environment that really let me
Wow.
grow, that helped
Yeah.
me to become confident in some topics that I can now speak about because I have the experience in my
Mhm.
backpack, let's say. But when you come from school, you don't have that experience. You just have theory in your head. You have maybe done here and there some practical cases, or you have done like a 6 weeks consulting program, what
Yeah.
I did at the Brussels airport, but you know nothing, and you need to learn from scratch. And I really believe that you need to do it in an environment that's helping you grow,
True.
whether it's female or male dominated or
Yeah.
whatever. I leave
Mhm.
that in the middle.
That's a very good thing, and I definitely believe that what you just said is so true. Like there, so currently I'm also exploring internships. I'm trying to understand, but in the start, it does feel like I'm lost. Like at least for me, I'm like, okay, there's way too much to expect from this sector. It's a never-ending sector, which is a
Hmm.
good thing because you can grow a lot, but at the same time, it can be overwhelming as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so broad, and logistics and supply chain, it touches upon so many different things and so many different aspects. And yeah, definitely in the beginning of your career, it can be super overwhelming, but it's just like I did it. I started small. I started
Yeah.
on one project and I got to learn a lot of things. And for me, it was good because my first project was really a project in logistics and distribution, which for me was like another aha moment. I think it
Uh-huh.
was related to the transportation management course I
Yeah.
got, because now for me, really logistics is my core business and that's what I'm really interested in and I want to grow further into. And
Mhm.
I'm really happy that, for example, Sylvie, she's like the procurement girl, so she knows
Yeah.
everything about procurement. I'm also now doing a planning project, so but I also get in touch with the logistics part, so it's really
Mhm.
nice that you get to grow into certain subtopics and those kind of things. And yeah, for me, consulting helped a lot to do
Wow.
that. But I
Mhm.
understand it's not for everyone, consulting. You also need
Definitely.
like a kind of mindset for it. So yeah.
True. Consulting is like it's considered to be most highly respected because it needs so much of your attention, your proactiveness, your curiosity, the ability to communicate well. So, Marie, if you are doing consulting, you're already an all-rounder.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
You are, of course you are. And so tell me more about Upchain. Like you work on digital supply chain optimization.
Yeah.
So can you explain what exactly is digital benchmark or performance scan looks like?
Yeah, well, actually, what we do at Upchained is we always try when we come at a
Mhm.
client, we take a step back.
Okay.
So we believe that a lot
Mhm.
of people or companies we talk to, they start
Mhm.
from we want to digitize, we want to
Mhm.
implement a tool. And then we
Mhm.
when we start asking the questions like why? Why do you want to
Mhm.
implement this? What do your current processes look like? Where are your
Mhm.
bottlenecks? Where are your pain points? Then in a lot of the cases, sometimes
Mhm.
they are prepared,
Yeah.
but in a lot of cases, they're just like, we just heard that this is a good tool. We have here and there some issues. We haven't investigated it yet, but we think a tool is the best, like the best solution for this. And what we
Mhm.
try to do at Upchange is take that step back and
Yeah.
first do an analysis, like a benchmark
Mhm.
analysis a bit, to see what are your current processes, where do you
Mhm.
want to go to, where are your gaps, and then based on that, see, do you even need a new tool, or does your current tool, can it be
Serve.
sufficient?
Yeah.
You're just not
Uh-huh.
using it correctly, or
Mhm.
you're only using 50% of the capabilities of your tool. So what we do at Upchange is really, we believe
Mhm.
digitization is an enabler, but you need to also make sure you are ready to take a step back and
True.
not just implement tools to implement
Mhm.
tools, but really implement
Mhm.
tools to deliver value.
Wow. Okay, that yeah, that is definitely interesting, and that talks more like you help them serve the needs that they actually need like that needs to be fulfilled, those needs,
Yeah,
rather than them just coming up to you going like, hey, I want this tool, so give it to me. And
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
so it helps with their efficiency and a lot of fixing for their companies, and that's the
yeah,
actual need.
yeah, because a lot of times we also get into the picture when
Mhm.
they've implemented a tool and they're like, it's not working
Yeah.
for us, and we've
Mhm.
implemented this, and then you start asking about, okay, what was your approach, did you take that
Yeah.
step back or not? And then in a lot of cases it's no, we didn't take the step back, we just started implementing the tool.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, of course, we also get on board in those projects, and then we also have our approach to see like, okay, where can we set up like small
True.
projects to make sure that we help you around with this tool because you've invested in it. But implementing a tool is always such a big investment from a company, not only
True.
the funding that goes into the software, but also the people that you need to engage, the time you spend on it. So it's really a big investment to implement any tool. It can be big, it can be small, and we want to make sure that companies do it in the right way and not just
Definitely.
going
Just for the
into it
sake
head
of,
first,
yeah.
like and we try to
Yeah.
do it, and then
Mhm.
at the end they're like, yeah, complaining about it. That's what we want to avoid.
True. And it is important, I think, that just don't do it for the sake of doing it. Do it because you need it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you guys also perform WMS, which is Warehouse Management System, and TMS, which is
Mhm.
Transport Management System, implementations,
Yeah.
and change management.
Yes.
Now, as I said, my whole idea of this series is to help everyone understand what exactly is the words that we just mentioned. So, can you please tell us more about WMS, TMS, and change management in detail?
Of course, yeah. So, I mean, we as Upchained, we don't really
Mhm.
implement the tool itself as
Yeah.
in the software implementation. We
Uh-huh.
help the business implement. But what the WMS does is really a management system for your warehouse. So it's wherever your inbound flows come,
Mhm.
you need a replenishment process, you need a put away process, you need like a picking process, you need an outbound process. Everything related to your warehousing is
Done.
managed in a warehouse
WMS.
management
Yeah.
system.
Mm-hmm.
And then transport management system does the same, but for transportation. So as of the point when it comes into your warehouse
Mm-hmm.
and then the point it leaves your warehouse, like how do you organize all of that? That's you can manage in a transport management system. And I think for a lot of organization, warehouse
Mm-hmm.
management system makes a lot of sense
Mm-hmm.
because they have their own warehousing operations, they have their own distribution and so on. Sometimes a transport management system also makes sense, but you see that a lot of companies work with external parties for transportation. And then it doesn't make sense to invest in a very expensive transport management system because most of the time you can just log in on a transport management system of a logistics provider and then you can do whatever you want there and you don't have to invest all the money. So that's a bit the background behind WMS
Mm-hmm.
and TMS. Yeah, change management, I explained it already briefly,
Yes.
but what it's really about is making sure that
Mm-hmm.
you think of a tool not in we're going to implement a tool, but we're going to implement it to help people in their
Yeah.
job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start from that mindset, change management is really thinking about at the beginning of my project, who are the people involved in the project? Who are the people impacted in this project? How can I make sure that I engage them? How can I make sure that they are aware of this project, that they know what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, that they feel involved in what we're doing and setting all that up actually is a bit change management, but taking that from the beginning of the project wait until after your project is closed because it's not when you close your project that your change management stops because
True.
then it only starts.
Yeah.
So you do all the preparation, you do all
Uh-huh.
the yeah, you make a toolbox and you do the communication and you do the workshops and so on, and that's all a bit part of the change management journey. But afterwards, you also need to make sure that the adoption rate is high and people
Yeah.
are actually happy with your tool. And there, change management is also super important. So that's a bit, yeah, background behind
Yeah.
change.
The way I like to see it is change management is making change in the life of people.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes
Yeah.
easier to like even remember when we put it that way. So yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And as a student, so as I said, I'm still studying. What digital tools or systems should I start learning to be ready for a job in real digital logistics?
Well, I think that
Mhm.
um, it's not really about a tool. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's my perspective.
Okay.
It's more about you have to become digital savvy.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know a bit what different systems and tools are available in the market. Like for me, it's broadly supply chain, but you
Mm-hmm.
also have it specifically for logistics. You have it
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
procurement. You have it for planning. You have it for all different kind of. But it's not really about the tool. It's more about becoming digital savvy and really knowing how these tools work, what the processes in these tools
Mm-hmm.
are or can be, and
Yeah.
how they are all linked together. And
True.
that's also a very important part. It's not like a tool is the standalone tool and it does whatever it wants. It's
Yeah.
always connected to different systems, different tools. So I really think that for people graduating, it's having that digital savviness more than focusing on just one tool and
One.
then becoming an expert in that tool. It's really the broader picture, let's say. And I hate to say it, but Excel remains super important
Oh
in life.
no.
Yes. I really hate to say it, but
Yeah.
in supply chain, it's a very analytical field, right?
True.
The supply chain field, and I mean everything is related to analytics, and it always comes down to that. And I mean, tools, they can help, but not every company is there yet, you know? I mean, we at Upchained, we have our North Star. Yeah, we want to have like a control tower where people can just see everything that's going on in their organization and everything is linked and people have just real-time visibility on everything operational wise that's going on in their supply chain. But that's the North Star. And a lot of companies are not there yet. And they really, some companies are just doing things in Excel. So
Yeah.
it's also really important for people starting in supply chain that you know that Excel is important and that you need
True.
to have those skills if you want
Yeah.
to go into the bit analytical part and helping companies like do
Understand.
the
Yeah.
optimizations.
Uh-huh. So again, although I don't like Excel, you're telling me it's simpler, not very direct way that Excel is important, Ayushi. You will have to learn it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
learned it. I think I've used it on every project I've already done. So
Okay, that's yeah, that does make me sad, but okay, we're gonna be there.
but once you start really
Yeah.
working it with it for
Uh-huh.
a certain purpose,
Yeah.
then for me it becomes fun. But I'm also a very analytical person, so that's why
True.
for me it
Yeah.
becomes fun. But honestly, like, yeah, North Star, you don't want to
Depends.
do
Yeah.
anything in Excel, right? You just want your tools to be able to do it for you, and you don't want to like do all the
Yeah.
VLOOKUPs and the pivot tables and so on, or you
Yeah.
don't want to write macros to do automatic things. But yeah,
But I
still a
can't
lot of
lie.
companies
Pivot
are
tables are actually still my favorite part of Excel. Like if you ask me, I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's do that one. I don't know the other parts, but that is still a fun part to deal with.
definitely, yeah, you can play with it, and you can see all the different kinds of, yeah,
Yeah.
the outcomes there, so it's really powerful, definitely.
I swear to God. And you are co-leading young supply chain masters,
Yeah.
and oh my God, that's super awesome. What's the one thing which young professionals constantly underestimate about their own potentials?
I think it's like the fact that you don't need to be an expert to be contributing, because
Mhm.
I mean there's really a lot of value in just asking questions and offering your perspective, as I mentioned, like what I did in the beginning.
Yeah.
And people are so many times they're, how do you say it, intimidated by
Mhm.
people with expertise, people with years and years of knowledge, and then they come into a meeting or they come into a new project and they're super quiet and they don't dare to say anything. But for me it's a bit the other way around, and I think be proactive and ask questions, and not one question is stupid, because those people, they they love talking because they are like good at their job. They are the experts. They know everything. So ask your questions, be curious, be committed, and then don't underestimate how far that can already get you, especially early on in your career, because it's only by asking questions that you're going to learn new things. And for me, that's really, that's also why we found, I mean, that's why I didn't found the Young Supply Chain Masters, but that's why I really am committed to building that community around young supply
True.
chain masters. It's really to make sure that people are not always intimidated by
Yeah.
experts and by C-level people, meeting them at events, because I mean when you're 25 or you're 28 or whatever, there's such a barrier in going to talk to someone who is 50 years old, who has 30 years of experience in the field. And then
Yeah.
you're like, what am I going to say to that person? Like, and that's what we want to avoid a bit with the young
True.
supply chain masters, is like, just come. There's only people
Talk.
that
Yeah.
have the same experience level
Yeah.
as you. You can ask
Mhm.
your questions, you can just be bold, you can have fun, and
Mhm.
that's a bit what the young supply chain masters is about.
It is super important. It is something which we all need. Like it is so necessary to be having someone who can push you to believe that, yeah, you could just talk and it's fine. It's not going to be that bad as you think it's in your head. And
Exactly.
as you have done so much at such a young age, how would you advise us to build that credibility when when you're in this group of people? Like, definitely it comes with a lot of little bit of daring, little bit of confidence and curiosity, but at the same
Mhm.
time it's like you don't feel like you belong. So that sense, how do you overcome that?
For me, it's a
Mm-hmm.
bit preparation is key in that area. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
you need to know everything. That's what I said, but
Mm-hmm.
preparing, know who you're talking
Mm-hmm.
to.
Yeah.
It's a good part. Try to, if you're going to an event or if you're
Mm-hmm.
invited into a company, or just do a bit of research. What is this company about? The
Yeah.
people that work there. I mean, what's their
Mm-hmm.
culture? What do they stand for? Because then you
Mm-hmm.
have angles that you can start talking about
Yeah.
stuff, like, and you know that if a company is very close about some things, then don't start asking a million questions, because you know
Yeah.
you're not going to get an answer, and people are just going to stare at you like, why
True.
are you asking so many questions? Then just take another approach and be,
Yeah.
let them talk, let them
Mm-hmm.
let them do their
Open up.
explanations, let
Yeah.
them, yeah. So it's really preparing for, and I also learned that over the years, right? I didn't know that
Yeah.
in the beginning. So in the
True.
beginning I just went to fairs, I just talked to people, but then sometimes you indeed get people that are super open, sometimes you get people that just answer your questions and then it
Yeah.
stops, and then you're like, okay, no, no, I need to go. I need to do
True.
something else.
Yeah.
But now whenever I go to an event, I try to prepare a bit. I try to ask,
Mm-hmm.
like, even what kind level of people are coming. Is this C-level people? Is this
Yeah.
more people that are in the operation? Because that also makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And with preparing there, and also knowing, like, what do you want to take out of that conversation? That's also very
True.
important, right? Like, don't just talk
Definitely.
to anyone. Like, if
In
even
the air.
if
Yeah.
you want, if your objective is, I'm super curious, I want to know
Yeah.
what this person does, then that's an objective. But just
Yeah.
always have that in mind, and don't just go to talk to people without having an objective, because then sometimes, yeah, it can turn out very strangely.
True.
Those
And that is
conversation.
true. Yeah. It's like so for us, we right now we are at that point where we go to internship fairs with the intention to get a internship or
Yeah.
a part-time job or even a full-time, anything that they have to offer. And it's like, so I learned it the same way. Like I was talking to my cousins who have got the job, to other friends who are almost there. And I was like, how do you do that? And they're like, prepare a pitch, be like, and this, and in the end always be like, anything that you have to offer, I'm free to it. Don't even just push a particular point forward,
Exactly.
like. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me try.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it works. Like, I came across a lot of people in the fairs where they were like not taking paper, like the CVs, and some of them were, and it was a mix. And then I was like, the people who are not taking, how do I pitch myself to them? So I was like, I'm going to connect to you on LinkedIn and I'm going to send you a message there. Because if you're not taking, it means even if I force you, you're just going to throw it away.
Yeah, indeed. That's definitely true. It's really
Yeah,
knowing a bit who you're talking to, and I think it's a good idea as well to go in it with an open mindset. Like, you know what you
true.
want to take out of it, but it's good to not push them in any direction and just say,
True.
whatever you
Yeah.
have for me, I'm happy to discuss it. And then from there, always a conversation starts, I guess.
Yeah.